Hey everyone, welcome back to Absolute Comics, the show where me and Sal sit down on a weekly basis discussing on what's going on in the world of comics, what we find interesting, and just discussing general news overall. Today's episode is brought to you by This Hot Sauce Is. Oh, forgot I had this one too to promote, didn't you, Sal?
I did.
Hot Sauce is my hot sauce. The name of the brand is This Hot Sauce Is. Get yourself some Hatchin' Jalapeno. It's a whiskey-infused hot sauce that has been created by my good buddy Houston. I had the idea for a hot sauce involving whiskey, which was just Tabasco and whiskey. And he made a real hot sauce. It's got 0 calories in it because the calorie count is so low, it's just quantified as 0. And it is a veteran-owned company. We also get to put that label on it because I'm a veteran. But yes, check out our hot sauce. I'll put the link down below. You can go to the website, This Hot Sauce Is, and buy the hot sauce and support us in a small mom and pop shop that's veteran owned. And so far, all the reviews for our hot sauce have been positive. So
Nice.
all right, Sal, talk comics.
Yeah.
You got something you want to bring up, and I want to talk
I
about
do.
in a second, but I want to talk real quick a comic book before we go into Kang.
Please, yes.
Okay. Did you read Justice League versus Godzilla?
I only read the first issue. I haven't read the second one yet.
Okay. I have a
would talk
problem with
today.
the second one, and I want to discuss your opinion on this.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second one, more monsters show up. It's your standard crossover fare.
Oh, you know what? I did read
spoiled.
this. No, might be. Yeah, I did.
Okay, all right, cool.
Did.
Then it's good. Then what I'm talking about is going to work.
Yes.
One thing that bothered me was the portrayal of Jason in this, but it also made me remember that these crossovers need to be an entry point to what you expect the characters to always be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, don't forget, this is also another reality. This is not the prime Justice League teaming up with the dinosaurs or whatever with Godzilla.
No,
It
no,
is-
and you're right about that. So I get that his current growth isn't there,
Yeah.
but he just acts so dumb.
Oh yeah. No. Everyone is like, don't do. And
Don't
he's like,
shoot
nah.
the giant bat monster in the eye. Don't do
Literally,
that.
Let's do a head count here. Batman says don't do it. Nightwing and Batgirl tell him not to do it.
Yep.
Cyborg tells him not to do it. 4 people. And then, to top it all off, he does it. It doesn't work. And they say, I told you not to do that.
Right, and then Batgirl knocks him out.
Punches him in the face. It's like, tell us how you really feel about Jason Todd, right? Like, this is a book that is designed. I mean, obviously, it is a crossover. You're supposed to really celebrate the idea of Superman fighting Godzilla. But at the end of the day, we're also going to put in like a 3-page sequence in which we portray Jason Todd as a big, dumb, dummy dumb that nobody likes.
Right, it was
It's
such
like-
a long sequence to put in the middle of the book, which is what I find weird.
It actually kind of broke up the kind of like flow of the issue. Like, it felt kind of like clunky. Like, why are we doing this? And I guess it's because it's like, well, this is part of the action movie where like one member of the team goes rogue or something. But it's just like, I don't know. It felt a little obvious and a little weird, and I don't know why anybody. Like, I don't know why anyone did.
Because the problem I have with it is, and I get the idea of crossovers need to be in their own reality and they need to have good entry points. Just like Nightwing and Batgirl are not acknowledging that they're together, which makes me think that that's not intended to be a long-term thing. Although I don't think any of us assumed it would be. But
no, Nightwing and Batgirl, like Oracle, in the main continuity are very much together. And
right, no, what I'm saying is like they don't even hint at that. In this.
Oh, in this? No, they're
Right.
just they are next to each other a lot.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, who has time for this? Like, we're trying to do a crossover here.
But we do have time to put 3 pages of Jason arguing with everyone.
Literally lining up the shot and being like, no, I'm going to do it. And they're like, don't do it. He's like, no, I'm going to do it. They're like, don't. And he's like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then it doesn't work. And he's like, oh, I don't understand why that didn't work.
But it just reminds me of those comics I would read as a kid where they always felt out of place. But now as an adult, I kind of understand it's because they want you to have that clean jumping on point.
Yeah,
just like Clark and Lois are together and there's no John. Not a mention.
They're not even married yet. He's proposing to her in this.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So like, yeah, no. But also there's a long history between Green Arrow and the League and Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman, and Hawkgirl's there and she's got nth metal wings. Like, it's everything you remember. Batwoman exists and she's working with the Bat family. Like, okay, it's everything you know, but also not.
Yeah. It's also weird to see Supergirl just kind of like on call with the rest of the league because I don't remember a time that was ever really a
It's
thing.
very rare. I mean, like, she was a member of the league during Dark Crisis, but that's like you can't even count that. It's
No, I don't think anyone does.
well, there is a good in-story reason why she's on the league, and it's like she's not. It's not like they have two super people on the team normally. It's that Superman was going to take a vacation, and so Kara was going to step in and be the Superman of that league while he was on break.
Right.
But he didn't take a break, and so there's two super people. And it's like, okay, I get that, but also like, but then why did you do it? Like,
Yeah,
if you
we're
wanted
back
to
to
do a
why.
like if you wanted to do a big league story where it's like it's the league versus Godzilla, but Superman's on vacation. How do we? And then that way you can have Superman show up in the third act and like kick ass. But instead, he never leaves, so there's just Superman and Supergirl. Also,
Yeah.
it's a little
It-
weird.
It's
a little
also weird because you
story.
would think that okay, well maybe they're all dealing with other things. It's only Superman versus Godzilla, but he quickly got Hawkgirl there as well. So it wasn't
Yeah.
even like, well, he was on vacation and that's how he ran into Godzilla. So he's got some time by himself. No, Hawkgirl's like, I'm here. Let's do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, Godzilla seems like the only one they're using like a lot of reference for. Like this is the legendary pictures Godzilla. There is no mistaking him. He may not look like any other version of Godzilla. Like and every shot looks like it's just pulled from like a still from one of the movies in which he appears.
Right. Because all the other monsters just get like little panels.
Yeah, it's just
Even
like
the
here's a
Bat
bat
one doesn't
monster.
get much, and Batman's fighting the Bat one. Like,
Yeah, no, it's true. Overall though, fun issue. You know, Godzilla does fight Superman, and
finally.
yeah. I mean, it's only 2 issues. It's okay. It's just kind of like this is not an issue. This is not a series that is wowing me. I'm not like, yes, I'm
Were-
loving the series.
Let me ask you this: were you expecting it to?
I mean, I was expecting it to be more, I don't know, exploitative and silly. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like there. Like for me, this represents every reason why. Like this represents everything that the anti crossover people say it's going to be. You know, like people who, whenever I talk about doing like an intercompany crossover, people are always like, "Well, they can't do anything and they're really boring." But like most intercompany crossovers that I've read, I've enjoyed in some form or another. Like I've really loved it,
Yeah.
and but this one feels like, yeah, no, it's so unimportant. They used another reality version of the league.
It feels to me like a corporate mandate book.
Uh-huh.
Like WB's like, because WB has the rights to distribute Godzilla Kong.
Ah.
So to me, this feels like they were like, we got this. Go make
Yeah.
a book about it. And they're like, well, what if the Justice League just slug it out with them? They're like,
Exactly. No, that's fine with me.
yeah, and we'll make some jokes, like Green Lantern putting Green Arrow in a really small transportation. And
Exactly. So, it's fine.
that's the one I really read. I did read the new Superman, which is still interesting. I really like what Joshua Williams is doing with Superman, but
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
you haven't read it, there's not much to talk about.
I read that. Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I like
What
that.
do you think about this new villain in this background of Lex? So this particular issue is issue 8. Turns out that there is a guy that gave Lex the ability to give Superboy the telekinetic powers or telekinesis powers.
Yes, his tactile telekinesis.
That's
is
it.
the
Tactile.
origin point.
Yeah, and so the origin point of those powers,
Yeah.
and the guy's way stronger than Superboy.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I was like, oh, okay, because like the origin point for the tactile telekinesis was always Superman has tactile telekinesis. The post-crisis origin for Superman is that the reason why he's able to fly is because he's technically telekinetic and he's pushing with his mind
Yeah.
himself off of the earth. But eventually they were like, that doesn't make any sense. But then they were like, no, it does make sense, and that's why Superboy can fly and also has this ability to like repel objects and create shapes with his mind and stuff like that. But then in 2023, they're like, no, actually, here's the chained, and the chained has the same. And it's like, okay, like, all right, here's the chained. I don't love the look of the chained, but I'm also like, he is in no way egregious. Like he's not annoying, he's not obnoxious, he's not stupid. He seems to have like an interesting motivation, and his battles with Superman make it so that Superman has like the interesting part of his fight where it's not just he has to punch a guy until he dies, or he has to like think about how he can't punch him because he's like not strong enough. It's both. It's like I can punch, but I also reason with him. It's like that's
I
cool.
also love that this is a reason to bring Superboy in.
Yes.
Because that's one thing that I feel we're severely lacking in is Superman, Superboy, Connor Kent stuff. So this is
Yes.
great. It's like I hate the fact that we never have Peter and Miles crossover books, which is now
Yeah.
also coming out finally.
Finally, we're getting a whole book, a series about them crossing over, and I'm like,
Yeah.
good, that's nice. I feel like at Marvel there was like a mandate that was like, don't do it, like leave them alone, let Miles kind of like stand on his own 2 feet, like show that he doesn't need like Peter Parker showing up in his book all the time. But
I feel like it was because they didn't want Miles to be portrayed as the sidekick. I feel like that was if we put them together, you're
yes,
going to think he's the sidekick.
yes, but now he has a sidekick, so
Right,
we can
Spider
do
Boy,
that.
which actually has not been as terrible as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I don't like Spider Boy, but not because I think Spider Boy sucks. It's because I think that like I really feel like Dan Slott wants to have his own Miles Morales.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
100%.
it's not that Bailey's doing anything wrong. It's that like it feels like Bailey shouldn't exist, but the people who created him desperately want him to work as well as friggin',
This made me
Miles.
realize that the Spider-Man book he was writing end? I haven't seen an issue in a while.
Oh, Miles is?
No, the Dan Slott Spider-Man that did
Oh yeah, I think it switched to Superior Spider-Man. Like I think that book ended and it shifted over to Superior. So now,
Okay.
because that book just dropped last week, and it is
because
all about
Spider-Man
Bailey.
ended with the appearance of Bailey, and then Bailey
Mhm.
gets his own book now.
Yeah,
Okay. That's okay, I guess.
yeah.
That's a complete story, though.
Exactly.
I want to clarify one thing for the chat, just because this is one of those weird pieces of knowledge that I have. Because chat's asking, like, who owns the rights to King Kong? Okay, so the way it works with Godzilla and King Kong in the Justice League,
Mhm.
Justice League is owned by DC. DC is owned by WB. Okay, WB also owns the rights to King Kong.
Yes.
Godzilla is on loan from Toei. Godzilla originally came out with the movie in the 2000s where he was an iguana, and it was handled so poorly that Toei refused to let the US ever use Godzilla again. Hence why you never saw a sequel to that Matthew Broderick movie.
Yeah.
And then they recreated that Godzilla by renaming it Zilla and then had their Godzilla kill him. Toho, my bad. Thank you, River King.
Yeah.
I always mix it up because the names are so
Me
close.
too. Yeah, Toei, Toho. I would say the same thing.
So Toho then, due to I don't know how they finagled it, but they got the rights to use Godzilla in that 2016 movie, 2015 movie, that one,
Mhm.
which did amazing.
Yeah.
And then they went ahead and they made Godzilla, the one that came out that I just watched, and it was not as good as everyone said. The action was good, but they reinvented Godzilla.
Oh yes, -1 or something like that.
No, -1's the one coming out.
Oh,
The
okay.
way it works is every time the licensing lapses, Toho makes a Godzilla movie.
Are you talking about Shin Godzilla?
Shin, that was it. Shin Godzilla.
I hated Shin Godzilla.
Dude, I didn't mind the actual Godzilla and the reinvention of Godzilla. I thought was an interesting take on the whole Godzilla lore.
Mhm.
But I spent way too much time in the government side of the house doing things. Like,
yeah, it was rough. Like,
at
I
least
felt
in
it was really
America,
boring.
we get like a character we're following. Over here, it's just like, all right, let's all have another debate. All right,
exactly
let's have another debate.
right. Like,
And then I
oh
was really
my God.
disappointed because the guy that made Neon Genesis made it, and I love Neon Genesis. And
I
was
know.
like,
I can't believe. No, my wife was hyped when she was like, "Oh my God!" Like the Evangelion dude worked on friggin' Godzilla. I'm in, and it was like, oh.
But no, so every time that the licensing lapses with it's either WB or Legendary, whoever has it,
Mhm.
Toho makes a movie,
Right.
frames one out, and then re-signs it to America.
That's exactly right. Like honestly, like they I think that is just their method where they're like, every time America makes a Godzilla movie, we need to respond. I mean, that's when they made that awful Matthew Broderick movie. Like that's when Godzilla 2000 came out.
I think so, yeah.
That was exactly right. And I think he fights Godzilla. Like I think he fights the crappy one.
That's what I'm
was
saying.
from
Yeah,
America.
they made Zilla arrive. I don't think it was in the 2000. That I think there's one called something War. And that's the
Mm,
one where like everything shows up for Godzilla to fight, including Zilla. Zilla is
Yeah.
dropped by an alien race. It is badly CG'd intentionally so
Yeah.
that Godzilla can wreck him.
right.
Final Wars. That's what it is. Yeah, that's the one that they did the crossover.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we have Godzilla -1, which I still got to see, and we have the new movie, the new show. Did you know there's a Godzilla show happening right now?
I did, yes, the new Godzilla. Well, it's like, yeah, it's going to be a Godzilla show. Yeah, I did hear about that. I've seen a trailer for it. It looks really fun, and it's
Yeah,
like it's in that
Monarch
universe.
Legacy of Monsters, which is set after the battle of Godzilla and Titans, revealing the monsters are real and follows one's journey to So I think it's like it's in the universe. I don't think I haven't seen the first episode yet. but
Mhm.
I don't think we're gonna get Godzilla traditional.
I
I
think we
think it's
might.
I think it's flashbacks from what I've seen in the trailer, but
It's
I mean,
it's set it's set in the present and the past. So like they're introducing a character played by Kurt Russell, but in the past he'll be played by Wyatt Russell. So you have the same character
oh, that's
in
a good
two
idea.
different time periods, and I'm like,
Godzilla
that's
shows
really
up.
yeah, and I think the idea is that like
But is Godzilla around in current day, or is it just in flashback
I
sequences?
don't know. I don't know. Well, I think the idea is that they're gonna like you're gonna see a bunch of like a bunch of monsters,
Yeah.
like because it's all the monsters they can
I gotta
use.
watch it. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I got a Godzilla up there on the statue wall.
Yeah.
I wanted the big statue. They have a giant Godzilla versus Kong statue, but it's like 6 grand
Ugh,
south.
that's a
And I'm
lot.
not rich, so
No,
I
no, not 6 grand for a statue, Rich.
mean, if the investor had come through,
I know. Then it's like we'd have two of them.
yeah, one in my house and one at your house.
Dude, yeah. Ugh. What a
So
shame.
anyway, that was the side note on that. That's any other comics you want to talk about? I'm still playing catch up, so I'm like kind of behind on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Wonder Woman is still great. I mean, if you haven't already jumped on board for Wonder Woman,
Yeah, I haven't read issue 3 yet, and I want to
I,
cover it on the channel.
number 3 has a lot more like Diana has more personality in that issue, and it advances the plot. Really explains kind of like what we're doing because like the first 2 are really a lot of setup, and it's kind of like Amazon Civil War. Oh no.
Yeah.
Inciting incident, demonization of Amazons, and now we're in like the thick of it, where it's like Diana's like, I'm gonna deal with this now, and I'm like, cool, and it's a lot of fun. Plus, you get the backup story that really introduces Lizzie, her daughter, in the future,
Okay.
and so that's pretty cool. But
Have you read World's Finest? Going to
yes,
Kingdom Come. I haven't read the new issue, but did you read
oh,
okay, the new one's good.
it's great.
Okay.
I mean,
I
Dan
love
Mora
I
on
love this
art,
whole
but
World's
yeah,
Finest universe that Mark Waid has created.
hmm it's
Um,
great. It's great.
it's kind of like how it's weird because we had a Mark Waid universe, we had a Jeff Johns universe, and we had like the Dawn of DC universe, and they're all not technically separate universes as far as we know.
hmm
Now Jeff Johns and Dawn of DC have linked up,
Yeah.
but is World's Finest going to kind of remain like is it or isn't it kind of
I
mentality?
mean, like, as far as Wade's concerned, it's canon. And it's like more of a Kingdom Come canon as well. Like the kingdom exists, and I think he worked on that, but this is more canon.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
so far it hasn't done anything that would be considered out of continuity.
exactly.
There's a few things where you'd be like, why didn't they ever mention the time that Batman and Superman merged together with the Green Lantern ring? But like, that's
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Have you been reading? There was one I saw in here. Oh, Green Lantern. I'm loving. I'm loving having Hal Jordan back in the seat finally.
Oh yeah, I haven't read much Green Lantern. I read the Alan Scott Green Lantern, but not the newest one, if there is a
Okay.
new one. But
I don't think there's a new one, but the Hal Jordan Green Lantern is good. They just started the John Stewart again. I wanted to ask you about that because we also right now, for the first time in a very long time, multiple Flash books.
yes,
Speed
yes,
Forward, Jay Garrick, and Wally. So
yeah.
how do you feel about there being 3 Flash books and 3 Green Lantern books for the first time in I don't know how long?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your
It's
thoughts?
interesting. I mean, I'm glad like there are so many flashes at all times. It makes sense to like metaphorically hit the rubber, like make the rubber hit the road in so to speak, to be like, okay, so every Flash book pretty much like every time there is a The Flash series, you have to satisfy or alienate or disappoint some arm of the Flash audience because everyone has their Flash.
Yeah.
Like they have like the purple suited female Flash. They have the kids, they have Wally, they have Barry, they have Wallace, they have Jay, they have Max Mercury. Like they have a million Flashes. And yet it's impossible to balance that many Flashes because A, they all run, like their powers don't like really set themselves apart from each other, and B, there are just so many goddamn characters. How are you going to keep it straight? One solution is to make multiple books that feature those characters. A Jay Garrick book makes sense because he has a very unique perspective. A Barry book makes sense because he's the
That's
one
all
that
we're
DC kind
missing.
of went behind. I know it's interesting, but I'm
That we didn't get a
glad.
Barry book.
I know, but I'm also really glad that we got like that Wally has the main book because I think that it's also proving whether there is, an audience for Wally the way that we have like the way that the audience has always said there is one.
Right.
So that's good. But yeah, there is no Barry book, which is weird. And I
What
think
is Barry even doing right now? Because I remember he was the
like
multiverse
multiverse guy. Yeah, but they haven't really done. I mean, that's over, right?
Yeah, that's over now, which is like where and now Wally's traveling through the Speed Force. So, which I find funny that he's traveling the Speed Force, but
Yeah.
Wallace and Avery decided to call themselves Speed Force.
Yeah. So yeah,
But yeah,
it's
where is Barry gone? What is he doing?
I don't know. I don't know. But I also don't care. So works out great. He'll show up. Like the next time that the Justice League need to do anything important, it's gonna be Barry.
Yeah. Well, the Justice League themselves are technically gone right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Batman and Superman are too popular to just not have books. Same thing with
Precisely.
Wonder Woman. She needs a book. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting that they're going this route. And I do find it fun that we've got the Titans are very prominent. Flash is very prominent. They have 3 Green Lanterns. That was another thing where it's like Jon Stewart or Hal Jordan. Everyone likes them. So
Yeah.
let's just make both. Why are
Exactly. No, I think
Green Lanterns at one point supported, I think, 5 books
Mm-hmm.
at one point. I think it was like that many Green Lantern stories going on at once.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, those kind of team books or those multiple character books. Like I know that Green Lantern at least tried to square that circle. You could actually do a book called Flashes, the way they did like the Green Lantern Corps or Green Lanterns.
yeah, you could do that. Last thing to talk about, the Nightwing book. Did you read it?
I have not read Nightwing yet. No.
Okay, there's no real big spoilers in it. It's really fun, really awesome. But it ends with the ending of the whole thing. Instead of to be continued, it says to be concluded.
Mm-hmm.
So is this pirate adventure that they were hyping up just a 3-issue arc and we're done?
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely. Yeah,
Why?
I mean, because well, we do need to find out like what's in the box or whatever.
Yeah, where the hold is, I think is what they call it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why is sexualizing women in comics bad? but Dick Grayson's getting commented on his abs, his pecs, his butt.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants to date him, everyone wants to bang him.
I know. It's a
Well,
little
why
bit of a double
is
standard, but also
straight up double standard?
yeah, but at the same time, the objectification of women in comics has been going on since the inception of comics, and Nightwing has been objectified for maybe the better part of 15 years. So I mean, like, I'm not saying that one supersedes the other, but
why is the boob window on Power Girl bad?
Right.
But he spends this whole issue, and you'll see it,
Yeah.
shirt open, rippling
I
muscles.
mean, but it's a shirt, like men not wearing shirts. I was just watching Crazy Rich Asians Against yesterday. There is more gratuity in terms of showing off the male physique in that movie than there are women being shown off. And it's like, it's not something that I noticed, certainly not the first time I saw it, but the second time I noticed, I was like, yeah, you're seeing a lot of juicy men in this movie.
Juicy men. I like the wording.
But with this, it's like, yeah, I mean, is the Nightwing doesn't have the equivalent of a boob window. The problem, like, because at the end of the day, Nightwing is shirtless all the time. All the superhero men are shirtless because you're drawing a naked man with a color over their physique, and
That's
then
true.
they have no balls. They just don't accentuate them. But but in this case, I mean,
I'm fighting for the bulge.
Right.
I'm starting the argument
put a
now.
big ass bulge. Look,
I want a big ass bulge on my male superheroes. I want to feel like, man, I could not compete with the Batwing.
yes,
Dick Grayson, no wonder he gets laid all the time. Like,
right? Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, like, but there's no male equivalent of the boob window. A shirtless man is not the same thing as a gratuitous cleavage circle. I do also like the boob window, and not just because I'm a heterosexual man, but also because I think there's something to it. I think it's earned any kind of like lore around it. Like I always liked, and I think I'm sure that people have already argued that it's a lame and or urban legend origin, but I love the idea of her ripping the logo off and it like leaving a hole, and she's like, I'll fill it when I feel like I've earned that sigil.
Yeah.
But I also just like it because like that's who Power Girl is. Some women just like to show off their goods. And and
go to Vegas or Florida.
Right. or just whatever. But but Kara / Paige or whatever her name is, she strikes me as the kind of woman who's just like, what of it?
Yeah.
Like I always imagine like the Amanda Connor Power Girl, where it's just like Amanda Connor always managed to capture like amazingly expressive facial expressions. And her look of being like, what are you looking at? Like, what's your problem? Like, what do you care? I want to wear this, but it's hard to have a female character say that when she's being written by a guy, because like, is she really transcending the gender and sexuality of the creator, or would it be more powerful or impactful if like a woman were writing Power Girl and encouraged Power Girl to, like be that way? Like people consider She-Hulk to be kind of like a sexually liberated character,
Right.
but only mainly because of the John Byrne effect. But John Byrne was a horny white guy creator, and it's like, does that like? But no one was really asking about it back then. Although I would argue that there's like a graphic novel he did that was like, even then editorials like, that is too much. That is too much. You're going too far.
For research, what's the name of that graphic novel?
Oh yeah, no, I'll tell you off camera. But there is it's mess. It gets really messy.
Yeah.
But like,
well, I think
eventually-
I can get us back on track with our main
Please, yeah.
topic by just ending this with, I am now going to stand for free the bulge.
free the ball.
I want to see the bulge on my male superheroes
Yeah,
because I just feel like they're all just they're compensating for their tiny penises right now.
it's true. I'm not necessarily saying we need more boob windows, but I am saying that but I'm down for equality. If you want to accentuate Batman's bulge or whatever, I'm again, like, you're talking to people who are 100% okay with Batman Damned being uncensored.
Yeah.
So,
I made the comment the other day in my Discord. They were like, "Do you have a copy of Batman Damned?" I was like, "I got 5 of them, bat penis and all."
Yeah, that's right. I only bought the one. I should have bought 10.
Oh, I bought a bunch. Once I saw them freaking out, I called my comment. Hey, you got any of those left? I'll take a few more.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on with our topics here. Sal, you got something that I know nothing about. All I know is a response to the Kang situation.
Yeah. Yes. This is coming mainly from the Weekly Planet, our pals over at my Mr. Sunday Movies, who said, according to this email quote, while working on the movie Deviation. This is the person who was providing the scoop, so to speak. I was friends with one of Jonathan Majors' people, and during our filming, Jonathan Majors closed the Kang deal. I remember asking a friend about it, and they shared some details, like how many number of movies, how many number of dollars. More interestingly, though, due to the nature of the character and potential multiple versions, Majors had a contract clause stating that he could only play any and all versions of Kang. No one else in the MCU, according to this contract, may play Kang, which is why they didn't end Loki with like someone else being Kang, which is why like Ouroboros didn't turn out to be secretly Kang, is because Jonathan Majors' contract stipulates that basically only he may play Kang.
That would make 100% sense why they've never even considered other people.
That's never a conversation, why they never tried it, why we never saw any other version, and any other version we did see was a bazillion different CG versions of Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
So, oops. But also, like, does, like, if he's found guilty or whatever like that, does that nullify the contract? I think that's pretty slippery. And if I were Jonathan
they
Majors,
do have a morality clause on most of those things.
But if I were Majors and I was like desperately required to have, like, if I lost all these jobs and I have this like sweet honeypot of a deal with Marvel and they want to get me out of it, well, then they better pay out the ass for it. And it tells me that's why I feel like there was a sequence at the end of season 2, and I don't know if it's much of a spoiler because it has nothing really to do with the plot of season 2 of Loki. But at the end, there's a sequence in which Mobius chats it up with somebody, and it's a throwaway line, but it feels like it might have been an additional line where he's like, "Oh, and we're keeping an eye on all the Kang variants, and there was one that was like near the 616 universe that was causing some trouble, but he got killed by ants or whatever, so that's okay." And it's like that all could have just been their way of being like, and now there is no more Kang. Kang,
right?
That shot of young, what's his name? Not Kang, but whatever his name is. I don't remember his name, but Jonathan Majors' version of Kang in this in Loki season 2, they showed him like they're keeping an eye on him, but he's never going to be Kang now. Like,
Victor Timely.
Victor Timely, yeah. Maybe they unmade all the Kangs. Maybe we fixed it.
It's funny because they actually did a statement about the situation. If you haven't seen Loki season 2 and you really don't want to spoil it, I'm sorry, but we're kind of doing none of us how season 2 resolves, but it's like ancillary shit. Anyway,
right.
There was an interview where they asked about that line with the director, and they asked about the kind of finite level that they left a lot of things at, including Kang.
Yeah.
And he said, no, actually, none of that was changed or altered by Disney mandate. That was all in the show because he wanted season 1 and 2 to be standalone shows.
Okay.
So they wrote them all in there just to be the way they are, like just to kind
Yeah.
of end the Kang line. If because as far as the show's concerned, he's done.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it doesn't matter what Marvel does with it moving forward, but they wanted you to feel like if you just watched Loki season 1 and 2,
Mhm.
this big bad is over.
Right. Well, they could very easily just say, "And all of them are." So we're good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But so apparently, supposedly, it was written way before any of this happened. That particular
Interesting.
2 scenes, but it's perfect because Marvel can use that if they need to.
Big time. Yeah, no, that is a big, like, helper for them. But yeah, especially if there is a clause in the contract that's basically like, we can't even salvage Kang. Like,
Yeah.
Kang literally has to be played by Jonathan Majors, or he can't be, or that character cannot appear. Like, oh, well, then that explains a lot about why they're like why reportedly Fantastic Four is going to start shooting in 2 months, or why
And why we're
Doctor
getting
Doom is
Doom
being
ASAP to become the big bad.
exactly.
And
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm down for it, but like, don't screw up Doom and make Doom fight everybody. Like, introduce him
what
into
about
Fantastic
if
Four.
Doom is like the
Yeah.
one from Fan 4 Stick, where he's a crash test dummy and he's not
Mm.
even intelligent and he's really whiny? Would you be cool with
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he was so powerful and exciting that like that movie became a huge franchise that we are very sad we're not getting any more of. So, I
that?
mean, I think it speaks for itself, especially I mean, either you get discount Kevin Spacey or you get like really crappy whoever the hell played him in the last one. Like I y- th- no thanks. For as far as I'm concerned, I've never seen Doom on screen.
um. Okay, we'll move on to the topics that Dan got us. DC Publishing's is going to publish a new Lobo omnibus, and Jason Momoa rumors that. Okay, so basically they're doing a new Lobo omnibus, which might line up with the rumors that Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo.
Like they're gonna release a big Lobo book, and why would they do that unless if there's gonna be an announcement that like
Yeah.
Lobo is gonna be in the new DCU? Okay, that's one way of looking at it.
Or they
I've
just want to
never,
get Lobo back out there because he still has a fan base.
well, especially because we know like Momoa does want to be Lobo, but also we've seen um there's a huge amount of like rumors and revelations about like who's going to be in the new Superman movie slash universe of DC, and Lobo, he wouldn't be far behind. It would make sense
Yeah.
to have Lobo show up at some point. So,
I mean,
yeah,
he was in that latest Superman movie that I watched, Lobo.
yeah, yeah.
Which was,
That's
I was
right.
like, oh, it's kind of cool.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, it's true. Did you see the Lex Luthor casting announcement?
That's not official yet.
Oh, is it not official?
No,
I thought it was official.
Nope. A lot of people did because it's from one of our favorite sources that
Oh no, trust me, bro.
it's like DC Direct or who did it? There was somebody, it was one of the one they're middle ground on trustworthiness, like Variety, where you're like, I kind of trust them, but
Deadline.
you know, Dateline, was that it? Not Dateline.
No,
but
Deadline.
Deadline.
Deadline says it's official.
Yeah, but it's Deadline. That's the thing, like that's not an official announcement. That's just Deadline being like, hey guys, just like Variety being like, we have inside sources that says MCU is crumbling, and then
true.
MCU's like, we don't normally talk on this shit, but no.
Yeah. Although apparently, according to Variety, which I do consider to be a primary source from the entertainment world, Nicholas Hoult is in talks to play him.
In talks, but Deadline's like, he's been cast.
Yeah. For the record, by the way, just on that topic, Nicholas Hoult was also very much in the running to play Superman. I'm thrilled he's not because I like Nicholas Hoult, but I don't see him as Superman.
Yeah.
But the idea of the guy who wanted to be Superman having to play Lex Luthor instead is awesome. Because that'll just motivate him further.
This casting. If this is actually, but in my opinion, and this is what James Gunn himself has said, until he tweets about it,
well, he tweets it.
It's not official.
That's true.
Leaks and sources. Until he tweets it, it's not official.
Yeah.
So,
if Nicholas Hoult turned out to be Lex Luthor, I would be happy.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good casting. I think I could see that.
Similarly, like they cast the engineer, or at least maybe they did. I heard rumors about that. The engineer from The Authority. I think that pretty much, if it's true, is officially, then the movie we're getting is Superman versus The Authority / What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, the American Way. Not Superman versus The Authority. I'm sorry, Superman versus The Elite / What's So Funny.
Yeah.
Truth, the American Way, because the Elite were just a parody of the Authority anyway. So now they can actually use the Authority. Also, the Authority is such an interesting group of people that you could just make an Authority movie anyway. So yeah, I'm down for that.
So those are both going to be good.
Yeah, I'm so.
Marvel Free Comic Book Day announcement reveals that Gail Simone might be co-writing the X-Men with Jed MacKay.
I heard that rumor as well. Yeah.
That could be interesting. Gail Simone, what has she been writing recently?
Not much. She's been like really quiet. But she has been working on like a lot of other like smaller scale projects. I want to say that she's yeah, as far as like lately, I haven't really seen her name in a lot of things lately.
Okay.
Obviously she's a hugely influential author.
Yeah, and she's very vocal on Twitter, so it's hard for me to like. That's why I'm like, I see her tweeting all the time, but like,
yes, professional Twitterer. Yes, professional tweeter, Gail Simone, who also occasionally writes comic books. I know that. Yeah,
she'd love that. She probably would love that, actually. If you said
I know, right? No, I'm sure she said it before. But she's also very like, yeah, I haven't seen her write anything since like 2019, so I have no idea. But
Hugh Jackman is hinting, his Instagram is hinting that Deadpool 3 is resuming production as he's now getting the mutton chops again.
It better. Let's go.
It's coming out next year.
Yeah, this is Deadpool 3 could be the biggest Marvel movie in the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, easy.
So like they better get this thing going.
Marvel needs that movie right now.
Marvel desperately needs Deadpool 3.
And then lastly, DC has announced that the next Super Sons, but this time it's going to be Sinister Sons. Tomasi will be returning to write a new miniseries that follows the sons of supervillains, General Zod and Sinestro.
Okay.
So it's not Super Sons.
No.
Why does DC hate the Super Sons? I don't get it.
That's really weird. I don't know.
You can give Mark Waid an entire universe and you can't give me a Super Sons book that's out of continuity, continuity.
It's weird, right? Although I will say the Super Sons do appear in the latest issue of Wonder Woman. So if you want to see those two hanging out, mostly it's Damian and Lizzie, but still, you get the Super Sons.
It's just why are they so against John doesn't even have a book anymore, man. It's over.
Well, good. It wasn't very good, but
it wasn't. The Injustice thing that they hyped. It was like, you did nothing with this. You could have done so much with this. You had the guy that made Injustice and John in that. You could have done so much with this.
Yeah. Well, and the worst of it is they were already doing something with it. Like it was already great. They were already enjoying it. There was already an established fan base, and then they just killed it for no reason. Like they just undercut it. And I don't and well, obviously we know why, and it's not like because they had an agenda necessarily, but because they were like, Bendis wants to write about a teenager's Superman as opposed to a child Superman. And okay, like that's why they did it. But like once he leaves,
one of the 5.
Well, take any of them. But also now that he's gone, like put him back.
It's over now. It's like Tom Taylor's not even writing it anymore. It's over. The book is over.
I know. Yeah.
So let's do some like shenanigans and make him young again.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, like the Super Sons is a tough brand, right? Like if the movie did huge, I think they changed their tune. I don't know how it did.
Not that well, apparently.
Not enough for them to try and force the comics to reflect it. Oh well.
So.
I know.
But all right, I think that brings us to the end of today's discussion. A little bit earlier today, if you've not been tracking, I've been sick for the last week, so today's my first day, kind of like actually back to work.
Yay.
So I don't want to push myself too much.
No, exactly.
But yeah, that was a lot of good topics. Good episode today.
Yeah.
Don't forget, if you want to, where did I put it? If you want to support us, go check out This Hot Sauce Is. Grab some hatch and jalapeno, put it on your pulled pork, put it on your eggs. I put it on my eggs this morning. I just put it on my eggs and then I mixed a little turkey sausage in it. Great.
I do love good hot sauce on my breakfast. So
see? Yeah. Great. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Check out Comic Storian, check out Comic Pop, check out Comic Storian Full Story, check out Comic Pop Returns.
Beast, come on by.
And we'll be here next Monday for more. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.